another episode of Eden's Realm. So, I am already out here completing projects. I completed this first one here, and it was actually pretty simple. The hopper minecarts were just getting stuck right over there. The short of it is I'm not 100% certain why, but there was a chance that the hopper minecart would end up getting to here before this finished its cycle. So in other words, the hopper minecart was just a little bit too fast. And so all I did was down there, I replaced some of the powered rails with regular minecarts, and that has fixed the problem. I ran it for I think like an hour the other day, and we didn't have that issue. So if that issue persists, I'm gonna be a little bit concerned because I don't know what the problem is, but hopefully this fixes the problem. But now what I have to do is I gotta take all of the stuff back, because this farm produces a lot of materials. If you don't remember, this gives us tons of ender pearls, nether bricks, leather, we get a little bit of crying obsidian and regular obsidian, get some gravel, tons of spectral arrows, some string and quartz, and then primarily sandstone and blackstone. So, yeah, now I gotta keep storing all of this somewhere. And that's one project done. I did another one here. So you can see I installed myself a crafter. Pretty simple. I just click this lever, and whenever I move it, I get myself a shulker box. Nice and simple. Nothing too fancy about it. Just put in some hoppers that'll feed it, and it'll keep this full. That does bring us to another problem though. It's that we are running low on shulker shells. As you can see, I used up all of the ones that I had in here. I think I have some more stored around elsewhere, but we're actually running quite a bit low, and that's because the shulker farm isn't working. And I haven't figured out exactly what's wrong with it yet. I just realized last time I went and AFK'd there, it did not work at all. So I'm gonna have to do some investigating on that. But before we do that, I want to show you what I've been working on in my redstone testing world. So what am I doing here in the redstone testing world? Well, I'm working on making concrete. I want to make myself a simple concrete factory that we'll send items to them, and then we'll get sent back shulker boxes of concrete powder to turn into concrete. So it's a pretty simple idea, but it's a little bit complex, because if you want to do it quickly, you need to have a lot of management of your items. So for every single die that we put in, we need to be putting in 4 sand and 4 gravel. So this is what your crafter setup looks like. And so what you can do is you can have a dropper on top with whatever die you want, and then 2 droppers on each side that have sand in them or gravel. And so that gives you 1 dropper for die and 2 for the others, which means that you need to have something that pulses these 2 droppers twice, or I guess these 4 droppers twice, every time that it pulses this dropper once. So that's what this is over here. This is pretty straightforward. All this is it takes a single input and it puts 2 outputs of gravel, 1 output of sand. So you just hit it, and that's what it does. So it's pretty straightforward. It just pulses this once, and then it sends it around here, pulses this, but it also sends it back to here and pulses this. So I don't know if there's a specific name for this type of circuit, but that's what we want to do. And so I went ahead, I started laying out stuff here, and this is the mock setup. So we take an input here or here, and it'll pulse these twice. Or actually, sorry, it'll pulse these once. So this makes sure that all of the droppers are going to get pulsed together so that we don't run out of sand or gravel. And you can see there, I got 4 of each color. If I clear my inventory, each time I'll get 4 more. So that's pretty straightforward. We now have the sand and gravel working, and now we just need to tie it all together, and that's what this looks like. So there's gravel in these two, there's sand in these two, and then there's dye in here, right? So if we take a look in here, you'll see there's 55 of your gravel and sand and 63 of your purple dye. So what we want to see is we want to see 8 concrete powder get shot out, and then the crafter be refilled. So if we go ahead and click it, let's see, we get our 8 concrete powder, and the gravel and sand has been refilled. So that means that what we can do is you can pulse this any number of times, and you'll always get the same amount. So we got 56 there, and you can see this is back up. And then I went ahead here, laid out where we can put in our gravel, our dye, and our sand. So this just helps us. We need to have 2 hoppers feeding each of the droppers because they'll be using items so quickly. And so this gives you a visual representation of how we can feed those items in. So I'm going to keep working on this design in the meantime, but let's go back into survival and actually do something in Eden's Realm. And speaking of doing things, I have fixed up our bee problem here. So what was going on? I didn't really elaborate on what was going on with our bee problem, but in short, what I had here is whenever this crafter would fill up, I had an observer clock that was pulsing it, and so there was a very small chance that a singular piece of sugar would get made. Now, whenever I was testing it, it was about 1 every like hour, and so I wasn't too worried about it. And I had just put this chest here, and I figured it would be enough. It happened more often here in Eden's Realm for some reason, and this got backed up, which filled all the way back up to here, and eventually there ended up being some issues where, just due to the overpiling, the overcrowding of bottles, everything got backed up and we started losing bottles. And so there ended up being empty spaces. And so I had to go through and take out all the honey bottles and I paused the whole system. So you can see I added levers here. And these levers here just keep these redstone lines completely powered all the time, which means that the farm isn't running. So we have a makeshift off switch now, which is pretty nice. But if we go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and put these honey bottles in, and we'll see how the new crafter system works. You can see it's just a system here that pulses it once every time that this gets filled. So pretty self-explanatory, and then it comes back over to here. Everything gets filtered out as you would like it, and nice and simple. So now all I need to do is I need to put some more glass bottles in here. I already set some into here to start filtering through. But then once we get all that done, we can actually turn the farm back on again. I've used up the majority of the shears that I set in here. Oh, too far. But if we take a look, you can see some of them are still left around. So we're about, I don't know, 80–90% of the way done with the honeycomb that we're going to be harvesting, and then this farm will just be for honey blocks. But honey blocks are much more important, but having a significant amount of honeycomb is good to have. But I don't really want to have to be messing with this farm, so that's why we're going to get it all to start with. And I've also been finishing some other stuff. So as you can see here, the trench is done. I just decided to tough it out and go ahead and just mine it out completely. The main reason I did that was because I wanted to collect a lot of deep slate. If I ever want to do deep slate for building, it'll be nice to have it all, and this way I won't ever have to worry about collecting. It was a lot of work, but I think it was the right choice overall because I did collect a lot of deep slate and tough, and if I ever need any for building, I'm definitely going to have it now. I won't have to go out and spend some extra time mining it like I would have if I just chose to either blow it up or do the moss possibility. So this is all done now. I need to clean up my beacons. There's actually 4 of them. You can't see the 4th one all the way down there. So I have 4 beacons set up. I thought I had a 5th one. I don't know where it is. It's supposedly somewhere in the world, but I don't know where it is. So I pulled the one from the Mesa and the one from the round farm that I was using. You may remember I used to have one out at the raid farm. Pretty sure I took that one. Probably should go double check. Pretty sure that one's gone. And so that accounts for 4 of my 5 beacons. Alrighty, so I also work, and if we take a look here, I have the game set to run slowly, and basically this crafter setup was not. Go ahead and I flick this on. What we will see is that while we're looking at this dropper, which this dropper right here is working perfectly, you'll see over on the right, it gets triggered twice. On and off there. And that pulses it twice. But if we look at this dropper over here, you'll see it only gets powered once, and then it never gets unpowered. And so there's a little bit of a little bit confusing, but I'm pretty sure that the reason that that is happening is because this system is quasi-powering these blocks, but this dropper gets powered 2 ticks later, I think. And so it doesn't have time to reset, and so it doesn't actually get powered properly. So what I did is I built that farm over there. And this one over here is not that much, just had observers here instead of droppers, or instead of this redstone line. Put it on here. We will see we get the desired effect here of there being gravel and sand at the same levels. So this will stay at 39 the entire time, whereas previously, if we were to check it out over here, you'll see that this number goes down. So as you can see, was at 32, now it's down to 30. This just shows the importance of needing to check your work, because oftentimes something will work like you think it should, but then whenever you put a new system on it, like this pulsar here, it won't work. Speaking of which, this pulsar, I have it laid out here. This is from Eggfur over on Reddit. It was from like 10 years ago. It's a really nice and simple 10-tick clock. So 8 ticks down here, 2 ticks for the redstone torch, and you get a 10-tick clock. Very nice. So I have it laid out here. This is working perfectly. I need to lay out some of our water line, how we're going to feed this stuff in. I need to give that some thought, but we now have everything working for the crafter bit as much as we want. So I ended up coming out here to fix up the shulker farm. As you know, it wasn't working, and the fix ended up not being too bad. It took me like 15 minutes, which wasn't too bad, but basically I'll just kind of show you what happened. I recorded everything that I was doing as I fixed it, and I'll just kind of walk you through it. So early on, there were these shulkers over here, and so my initial thought was to go ahead, move them back into the farm, and that would allow the farm to restart and start populating again. But then what I saw is that there actually ended up already being a shulker there, and for whatever reason, it wasn't getting triggered by the mechanism in the middle. When shulkers are angered, they will also anger other shulkers around them within a. And so for whatever reason, it wasn't triggering that one. That was super far away from it. And so all I needed to do was break some blocks and move those shulkers in closer. So I ended up messing with some blocks. I poured some water down on them, and then I went back and restarted the farm. And now if we go ahead and take a look, everything should be running. And it was nice and simple. You can hear them all now. There's a number in there. There, I promise there are. Where are they? There's one. There's two. And so whenever they get hit, they have a chance to teleport and respawn another shulker. Pretty straightforward. It'll take a little bit for this farm to get up to like full capacity again. There's like it's not really a charge up time, but there's a certain amount of time that it takes for all of the shulkers to propagate as much as they can. And so we need to wait for that to happen, but we finally have a shulker farm that works again, so that is another problem checked off the list. As the sun sets, I've done some work. Also, it's really interesting. There's a amethyst geode down there. Looks pretty cool. But yeah, as you can see, I've been doing quite a bit of work. We are getting close. We're getting very, very close to having the perimeter done for this world eater. And also, I found a regular diamond ore, not the deep slate kind. These are very, very rare. I found it like in one of the water caves while I was mining or clearing out the water. Very, very cool. But I've come to hate water caves. I think I've already talked about this, but they are they are the absolute worst. There's nothing that I dislike more in Minecraft than clearing out water caves. They're so big, there's so many of them, and I can't handle it anymore. But we do have one more thing that we need to finish up before we move back and actually build the World Eater. We need to move our villagers. So, you guys remember this iron farm? I built this like right at the beginning of this world. Um, it's been running really well. We've got our iron production, and then it also gives us bone meal. This has been running really, really well. Really happy with it, but obviously the problem is this is where the world leader is going to be, right? And so there's a little bit of a dilemma here, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the villagers out. I'll take all of our items out, and then I'll just let the world leader blow it up. And I don't think I'm going to try and save like any of the items. I thought about like trying to take this and rebuild it once we had run the world leader, but if I'm gonna build another iron farm, I'm gonna build one really good and that I don't have to keep loaded all the time. Because I know like the bigger ones will take up a little bit of MSPT. They're not too laggy, but I mean everything that's running takes up MSPT, right? So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I was considering being sentimental, but now I just need to move the villagers out. Maybe we can build another iron farm here, but it'll be nice to have villagers close to spawn if I ever. And but that's all done. We're gonna be finished for today. So, gotten quite a bit done. The villagers are safe and secure under there. I decided to put them a little bit under so that there would be less chance of them getting blown up if some of the TNT dupers went off the rails. They'll have a chance. And also, you may have noticed, like, what is that? I so I built my own texture pack so that I can see all of the obsidian and crying obsidian that's in the world really, really easily. Um, so obviously it's pink, right? But it just helps me to see it. So whenever I'm doing the world eater, it stands out. There's none. Obviously that. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. It's been a blast. Thanks to everybody who came and stream. I won't be, well, actually, by the time this is the Thursday that I won't be streaming will have passed. So Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Central, I'll be around streaming on Twitch. Come check me out. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.